On Halloween of 2008, the body of 47-year-old Billy Lee Black was found stabbed to death in Hagerstown, Maryland. Welcome to another episode of Human Wreckage True Crime Podcast. Please subscribe if you want to hear more cases from us. Today's episode is the murder of Billy Lee Black, the horrific murder forced into play by his own family member. Let's get into it. It was Halloween morning of 2008 in Hagerstown, Maryland. A man living on James Street in Hagerstown's West End was just about to leave in his car for work when he observed the lifeless body of a male on the ground. As he approached the body, he observed that it was surrounded in a puddle of blood. The man was evidently deceased, having been stabbed multiple times. He was identified as 47-year-old Billy Lee Black, who lived just a stone's throw away from where his body was found. It wasn't until November that there was finally an arrest in the case. 19-year-old Alex Scott Edger of Burner Avenue. He was charged with first-degree murder and felony murder. Edger was a friend of Black's 15-year-old daughter, Danielle Black. In the weeks leading up to Billy's murder, Danielle had gone to Edger and told him that she was being abused by her father, Billy. Edger towered over most of the people in the community, and he was always carrying a knife, which made him the go-to guy when people wanted protection. He and Danielle were among a group of teenagers that were described as a collection of outcasts. Danielle's claims of abuse struck Edger hard. He had a very tumultuous upbringing that was marred by abuse. At around 5:30 a.m. on Halloween morning, Billy was leaving his home to go to work. Edger was lying in wait. As soon as Billy came outside, he was verbally ambushed by Edger, who accused him of sexually abusing his daughter. Billy denied the accusations, and Edger responded by stabbing him to death. He was stabbed multiple times in the head and neck. One stab wound was so vicious that it almost severed Billy's spinal cord. Edger then dragged Billy's body to a spot near his truck. He then stole his wallet to give the impression that the murder was a robbery going wrong before fleeing from the scene, leaving Billy to be found by a passerby. In December, Danielle was arrested and charged as a juvenile with solicitation of first-degree murder in connection with her father's murder. Investigation had uncovered. Before approaching Edger, Danielle had approached another juvenile on the school bus with the same story she had provided Edger, that her father was abusing her and she wanted somebody to kill him. This juvenile, Matthew Gray, turned down the offer, and Danielle responded by saying she would get Edger to do it instead. Danielle was subsequently charged as an adult, dropping the juvenile charge. Conviction on solicitation of first-degree murder carried a maximum penalty of life in prison. Danielle was ordered to be held without bond. Following Danielle's arrest, her stepmother had come across journal entries in her bedroom. One poem was seemingly to her father, which read, "You said you would never do it again. This is good news for you. I can finally call off my people, so you don't have to die. Just understand if you do it again, you won't have a life to live. Your days would be numbered. Your ass would be gone." In other pages, Danielle had threatened another unknown person. She wrote, "I'll use my magic to hurt you," and claimed that she was a Wiccan. She ended the journal by writing, "I'm not afraid to go to jail." Some other pages included dark poems that Danielle had written, including one where she wrote about pain running through my veins. Danielle had been suffering from depression for quite some time. Back in February of 28, she had taken 2060 milligram Cymbalta tablets as well as 2020 milligram Phenergan tablets. She was discharged from hospital the following day with a recommendation that she receive outpatient counseling. Following her arrest, she was diagnosed with adjustment disorder and had undergone clinical therapy sessions. The sessions focused on her developing coping skills and strategies to cope with anxiety and depressive symptoms, as well as grief related to the loss of her father. Danielle would subsequently attempt to have her case referred to juvenile court. Her request was denied, and the judge ordered her to be charged as an adult. During the court hearing, defense attorney Mary Drawbaugh said that Danielle was suffering from undiagnosed mental problems. She said, "We have a very disturbed, troubled, untreated young lady who fell prey to peers who filled her mind with undesirable thoughts. Meanwhile, Edger's defense team would request a psychiatric evaluation before he proceeded to trial. Since his incarceration, Edger had exhibited active symptoms of psychosis as well as depression and possible seizure disorder. Danielle stood trial for the solicitation of her father's murder in July of 2009. This charge was in relation to Danielle attempting to get Matthew to kill her father before the murder was carried out by Edger. Danielle's defense team argued that there wasn't enough evidence against her client, even though multiple people had heard the conversation. The jury heard from several of Danielle's school friends. Ashley Schmid told the courtroom how Danielle had told her that her father often beat her. On one occasion, she showed her a large bruise on her thigh. During a 10-minute conversation, Danielle told Ashley she was going to ask a friend to kill her father. She even went into great detail about the plan, telling Ashley that she would distract her mother at 5:55 p.m. and then go outside to find her father dead. Ashley said to the jury she was so concerned about this conversation that she told her parents, and then she called the Black home shortly thereafter. Billy answered the phone, so she assumed Ashley must not have gone through with the threat. Ashley didn't think much of the threat again, at least not until Billy was found stabbed to death. Sean Stanton would also tell the jury that Danielle told him she was being abused by her father. He said that almost daily, Danielle said she wished her father wasn't alive. Another friend, Samantha Holliday, told the courtroom he beat her, she wanted him dead. Matthew Gray, the teenager Danielle had first approached about the murder, testified next in exchange for immunity. She said that around a month before the murder, Danielle asked him on the school bus if he would take care of her father. He said he didn't think she was serious and jokingly replied, "What do I get out of it?" During the trial, Billy's wife, Danielle Black, testified against her stepdaughter. She stated, "We were a family for 5 years and I loved her." She told the jury that Billy had not been abusing his daughter, telling them he felt guilty for grounding her. She said that Billy had tried to prevent his daughter from running around with the wrong crowd, stating he wouldn't let her go with friends when she wanted to. The jury deliberated for around an hour and a half before finding Danielle Black guilty of solicitation of murder. She was ordered to serve 10 years in prison. During the sentencing phase, Andrea provided a statement. She turned to Danielle and said, "Your dad never abused you." She said that Danielle only hated Billy because he wouldn't allow her to do whatever she wanted. She said that the night before Billy was killed, he hugged his daughter and told her that he loved her. Finally, it came out during the sentencing phase that Danielle had made the abuse up. In January of 2010, Edger took a plea bargain in which he admitted guilt to killing Billy, but not that the murder was premeditated. He acknowledged in an afford plea that prosecutors had enough evidence for a first-degree conviction. He was sentenced to life in prison. Before leaving court to begin serving his sentence, he apologized to Andrea. "Taking your loved one causes me so much shame. This is never who I was or who I wanted to be." Outside of court, Andrea said, "He was a loving, kind, caring man. He was just trying to keep her away from people like that because he knew they were bad news." In 2011, the Maryland Court of Special Appeals overturned Danielle's conviction. They found that the judge erred in allowing evidence into the trial and also found that describing Billy's murder was prejudicial. The decision read in part, "The details of Billy Black's murder had little, if any, relevance to the question of whether Danielle solicited Gray to murder her father. We do not think it is possible to overemphasize that Danielle was never charged in connection with her father's murder, nor was Gray." Danielle Black subsequently pleaded guilty to solicitation of murder. She was ordered to serve a life sentence with all but 6 years suspended. She was given credit for a little more than 3 years of time served, and was ordered to be subject to 5 years of supervised probation upon her release. She has since been paroled. Thanks for joining me again. It seems over and over justice is never truly served. Till next time, take care of yourselves.